When I was a student at the collective, right before I started teaching, I took classes with Hank Jaramello. He did Gino Vanelli records, but also, a bunch of jingles and Broadway. And he was a great sweetheart of a man, great teacher, and an excellent player, man. Really, really spot on. Check this out. He used to bring in a reel to reel with tracks of jingles that he did, and he had the charts for them, and he'd put them up, and you put the headphones on and you actually felt like you was in the room in the studio doing it. Oh, here's a Cheerios commercial, or here's this and there's that. You'll hear a click stick clown off, and then start, and you'd have to sight read it. Man, I'd be like nervous as heck, because he really puts you in the situation of you have to do it. You go look at it, look it down, you get one pass through, and then we're going for a take. And he would do it like that with you. So, and I did a bunch of stuff. And then one of the lessons, he put up the book for a chorus line, because Hank was one of the drummers. Dorian McGee was the main drummer, and Hank was a walker.
Explain what a walker is.
I was waiting for you to ask me that. Now, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an expert in knowing the ins and outs of what that is, but I do know that every theater had to have a minimum. I think still does. I'm not necessarily sure, but every theater had to have a minimum. And if it didn't, then you'd have to bring in the musicians anyway, and they get paid for only playing however many shows. But they had to be paid, and because the house had to employ so many musicians. So he's called a walker. He put up I Hope I Get It in one of my lessons. We started doing it. And he had the headphones on, and we're going through it. And it was, if you know a chorus line, and if you know, I Hope I Get It, you know that it's going from then some breaks, and, and breaking down, and, ups and downs and all over the place, right? Really cool stuff. So I went through it a few times, and, it's like, yeah, man, it was good, and he was like, listen, you think, why don't you come watch the show with me one day? Would you like to do that? And I was like, yay, absolutely. I'd love to do that. It wasn't even processing for me about that. I mean, my head was at like McKell's, like where I was going after my lesson. You know what I mean? That's where my
Mm.
head was. And he was like, well, let's come check it out. It's like, all right. So I met him at the stage door, to Schubert and stuff. And I was like, wow, this is for real, for real, for real. Walked in, and it was definitely unimpressive. Definitely not what I thought it was going to be when I got in there, the older theater, and not 100%, not real clean and whatever. It was, see little,
Oh my God, really?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of like that. So I watched the show, he crammed me in. I sat down and put headphones on and watching, and he killed it, like so spot on. And I was like, man, this is great. He was Broadway. Wow, this is cool. This is badass. Then after the show, he was like, hey, what'd you think? I said, man, you sounded amazing. And because what do you think? You think you may want to could you do this? You think you may want to, play the show? And that was a fork in the road moment for me. And I think most musicians get that fork in the road moment at some point. So I say, yes, I'm all in, and I better learn it. If I say no, I'm probably not going to be breaking into the scene, right? I guess my lesson to everybody would be, even if you're not 100% sure in your abilities or what have you, you're relatively sure, you're relatively confident. Nobody knows what the future is. You got to do it, man. You got to jump in, because that's what propels you to learn the music, and that propels you to get better. That propels you to be prepared to go in and do the gig.